I'm going to tell you up front, this is going to be a long video. I've got my partners here with me. Let me see if I can get my camera down here so you can see. I'm trying to get you in there, Willow. Where's DJ? But anyway, this is going to be a long video. Let's see where DJ's at. I guess he decided he didn't want to come over. They're not my dogs. My neighbor across the street, I've adopted every one of the dogs that they've ever owned. And they've had some great dogs. Of course, anybody that's followed my YouTube account for a long time knows Dirk. He was a golden retriever. Was one of the finest dogs that I ever had the pleasure of knowing. And I don't know exactly what happened to Dirk. I don't know if he got hit with a car or what, but he was injured beyond repair. So they had to have him put down because he could have never recovered from his injuries. But, well, here's DJ. Let me see if I can get down here and see DJ. DJ, come here. Come here. Come here, guys. Come here, let me introduce you to the world. Come around here. Come around here. Let's see this. I don't know if you can see him. Let me get this on down here. Here, guys. Come around here, DJ. Come around here. Come here. Ah, some good doggies. Ah, some good doggies. They're my buddies. That's some good doggies. That's some good doggies. I'm gonna bite you, and I'm gonna bite you. Oh, I didn't bite you. I didn't bite you. I'm gonna bite you. I'm gonna bite you. I'm gonna bite you. I'm gonna bite you, DJ. So anyway, these are a couple of my buddies, and they're not even my dogs. But now you guys don't hit my stand, okay? But I decided to do a long video. Okay, you guys go play now. Here, let me warm my hands off them. Well, you talk about a furry coat. You've got one. Look at his hair. Look here, DJ. Look here. Turn around here and let him see you right in the face. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Look. Every time you pet one, you've got to pet the other one because they're jealous. But they're great doggies. They're some great doggies. They're some great doggies. Okay. Every time I get out on the porch like this talking to a camera, I know people are wondering what in the world I'm doing. But as I told you, this is going to be a long video. And I was just thinking about, you know, I left home when I was 17. I went into the United States Air Force, and I was so young that my parents had to sign for me to go in the Air Force. And my wife and I, we were talking a while ago. One of the only times that the first time I ever saw my dad cry was when he signed the papers for me to go into the United States Air Force. And I consider it was one of the best things I ever did. I was fortunate. I always had great jobs in the Air Force. For whatever the reason, I just had great duty. The first, I stayed in Orlando for 3 years, and I sat at the same desk for 3 years. And I was told that every time orders came down to ship me overseas, someone was blocking those orders. I like to think it was because I was doing such a good job, and I think that's the reason it was. And on the base in Orlando, if you go now and look at Orlando Air Force Base, there's not a base there anymore. In fact, I was looking on Google Earth last night, and it's hard to even distinguish where things are at because of when it was turned over to the civilians. They went in there and built looked like condominiums, and when I was there, it was just Air Force Base with small barracks. But anyway, while I was there, a portion of the base had a missile squadron, a mace missile squadron. I ran around with a couple of guys. A couple of guys there was my best friend. One of them is deceased, and I don't know what happened to the other one. But they usually moved as a complete unit, and they had a unit. Now this was in the 50s. It was either 58 or 59. I think it was 1959. They had a unit moved to Germany, and I handled all the paperwork for that move. And I normally never worked on the weekend, but to get all that paperwork together, I worked almost 7 days a week. And one day I was sitting at my desk, and I don't know if it was the squadron commander or who it was, but I know he was a full bird colonel. He came in the office. Of course, I had a name tag on. He could look at my name tag, but anyway, he looked at me and he said, "I'm looking for Airman Payne." And I said, "Well, sir, you found him, because that's me." And he said, "I appreciate the work that you did for our squadron move." And he said, "We're going to have a test firing of one of our Mace missiles at Cape Canaveral." It was called Cape Canaveral back then. And I want to invite you to be my special guest to witness that firing of that missile. And he said, "Why don't you check with your commander and see if it's all right?" So I went in. We had a captain. Can't remember his name. All these names are starting to leave me anyway. But anyway, I told him what was up, and he said, "Hey man, that's great." He said, "Jump at the chance, go." So I went with that squadron, and what they did is they had their launcher was on a huge vehicle, had these big tires that would they could go out in the swamps with that thing, and those tires were so big it would practically float. And they were launching that Mace missile from, I'm just checking on the dogs. I don't know what they're after. Hey guys, come here. They normally stay around pretty close. But anyway, they were launching this Mace missile at Cape Canaveral. It was sitting on the coast, and that Mace looked like an airplane, and they used a JADO bottle. I called it a JADO bottle, whatever the correct name for it is, that would fire and get it airborne, and then it would take over under its own power. So anyway, they had a kind of it wasn't really a blockhouse. It was kind of a house, looked like it had been built up with sandbags. And that's a truck. The missile squadron had a truck sitting beside that bunker, and they were counting down to fire that missile. And they were in, I was sitting on top of the thing, and I think I did a video talking about this a long time ago. So if you saw that video, this is a little, an extended version of it. And this is going to be a long video. So if you don't like the long videos, you're already gone. But I was sitting there on that house, that blockhouse. I'm going to call it a blockhouse. and they had a communications truck sitting beside of it, and they were in communication with Cape Canaveral. And I could see off at the distance, not far, there was a huge missile on a stand. I found out later it was a Titan. It was the Titan that they test fired in 1959. And the guy working in the radio truck, he said, we're going to have to hold our count on our Mace missile because NASA, I think it was called NASA then, they're getting ready to fire that Titan. So they tuned into the countdown of Cape Canaveral, and we could hear their countdown. So it counted down to 0, and that thing fired. I have never heard anything as loud in my life. I'm estimating that we were sitting on that blockhouse within, no more than 200 yards. If it had exploded on the pad, it probably would have taken us out. But it was a launch in 1959. I've tried to do some research on the internet, and I've tried to find video of the Mace launch because I'm sure it's out there somewhere. I wouldn't think that it would be classified now after all these years. Oh, in fact, I know it wasn't. And watching the thing fire is not classified anyway. So what I'm telling you is just, as an observer. And so then they went back to the countdown of the Mace missile. And, excuse me. And when they got down to 0, the JATO bottle fired, and it came off of the ramp of the truck. And I don't know, just a few seconds, that bottle dropped away. But what we didn't know, they had a chase plane that was circulating around over the coast, and his job was to shoot that thing down, I guess, if it went astray. But we didn't know he was out there, so just as soon as it fired, he was on the countdown also, and he came over our heads at no more than 50 feet off the deck. He probably saw us down there and thought, I'm going to give these guys a thrill, and he did. I thought the whole world had exploded and it was an F-100. And he was going so fast that he started to outrun the Mace missile, and he had to kind of swerve off to the left and come back in and get behind it. But I was fortunate to witness that. Like I say, I always had great duty, and I was discharged in Orlando. I was honorably discharged in Orlando in January of '60. And I came home. I had to spend 2 years in inactive reserves. And in November of 1962, I re-enlisted in the Air Force. And I went to Spokane International Airport. My orders read Spokane International Airport, but they had an F-106 squadron there at Geiger Field. But for whatever the reason, we were not on the base. We were attached to the airport. I worked in commercial transportation. We handled all the contracts and the billing and anything that was traveling by civilian conveyance. It had to come through us, so that's why we were off base, I guess. But anyway, my orders were for Spokane International Airport. And while I was there, that base closed. And I was one of the last people to leave. Being in commercial transportation, we were shipping goods and services out. And I remember one day we were shipping out, they had these hangars for the F-106. I don't know if I told you if it's an F-106 squadron. That's what it was. And they had gone to Seattle. What was that? McCord Air Force Base. And we were stacking all these wall lockers in these hangars. And some of these reserve units would fly in with their airplane, and they'd just come in, whatever they needed, they'd just pick it up. We had all kinds of wall lockers, and one day a truck pulled up with a brand new load of wall lockers. And we finally shipped those out to a permanent duty assignment. I can't remember where, but somebody had goofed up and ordered them. They probably didn't know that the base was going to close because they kept it a pretty tight secret. I didn't even know. And usually if you started hearing something as a rumor, it was true. And so I started hearing it as a rumor like on a Wednesday, and by the next day it was official that the base was closing. So I transferred from there and I went to Oxnard Air Force Base in California and stayed there until the latter part of 1964, when I received orders for Karamsale, Turkey. And so I went to Karamsale. I got to Karamsale in December of '64, and I stayed there until June of '66. I think it was in '66, but I witnessed what was almost a total eclipse of the sun. Right there where I was stationed was pretty close to the line of totality. And that day I was sitting in the chow hall eating, and I mean, it got dark. It was really spooky looking. But when I left Karamsale, Turkey, a lot of the people there, well, some of the officers were taking bets that I would re-enlist because I was waiting to the last minute to tell them that what I was going to do. And the reason, you had to have more than 6 months retainability time to get a duty assignment. There's gnats flying around out here, and I think one got into my eye. And I had like 5 months and 20 days to go. So the only way that I could get another duty assignment is to re-enlist. So finally they called me from personnel and said, you know, you're going to have to tell us what you're going to do. Are you going to stay in the service, or are you getting out? I said, no, I'm going to get out. And so I really got out close to 6 months early on my second 4-year enlistment. Come here, guys. Come here. I think they've got a squirrel treed up in the tree down there. You're going to get a glare from the sun. The sun's going down. It's 10 till 8. See if I can get them down there. See them down there by that tree? I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Probably getting a glare from the sun. Like I said, this is going to be a long video. Yeah, there they are. Hey guys. Hey guys. DJ, Willow. Good treats. That always gets them. Good treats. So anyway, that's my partners. Get that turned back around here. But that's, now I'm going to have to get you a treat after telling you I'm going to give you a treat. Willow, you're a good doggy. I'm going to bite you. I'm going to bite you real bad. I'm going to bite you. That's a good doggy. That's a good doggy. Why are you doing coughing so much? What you doing coughing? I hope you're okay. Well, you got some wicked looking teeth. You guys, let's see if we can see them. You got some wicked looking teeth. Here, quit biting her. Well, they're just pups. I don't know how old they are. They're not more than 4 or 5 months old. But Willow, she's doing some coughing. I don't know if... So, like I say, this is a long video. Let's see how long it is. No, I'm not going to edit the thing. It's 20 minutes long. So, we'll see you. Bye-bye.